Welcome to the Monday Monologue. This week I'm going to talk about how I learned to do tube stuff by making mistakes. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I'm one of those people that learns best doing things hands-on. And while I did read several books, Morgan Jones's tube amplifier books, he's got a couple of them that are both really good. I'll put the links in the description. But I learned most of what I've learned and really understand it from just building stuff. And I feel like my little 6SQ7 amp was where it really clicked what's going on and how this stuff works. And in designing that amp, I did start off with a pretty solid output stage. That's, if you look at most single-ended amplifiers, they have a very similar topology on the output stage. You've got B plus going through the transformer, going to the plate. You've got ultralinear tap. You've got cathode resistor. You've got a cathode bypass cap, and you've got a grid leak resistor with a coupling cap. I mean, I think pretty universally that's what they look like. And the values for all that stuff are pretty well known. And where to bias like an EL34 and build a circuit around that. You could look at 30 different circuits and that part of it will all be the same. Where I went off on my own was I wanted to make it work with a 6SQ7 as the driver tube. And I couldn't find a schematic anywhere online that anybody had ever done that. And so I was kind of on my own. And so I looked up the tube data sheet, and luckily that tube data sheet has a little chart in there that shows you if you want this amplification and you've got this load, which is the grid leak resistor for the next stage, if that's known, then you can look up on the chart the plate voltage that you need to run, shows you the plate load resistor, shows you the cathode resistor to get the bias where it needs to be to make that tube work. And it's interesting that a lot of those really old tube data sheets have a lot more information in them than the modern tubes do. And so that was super helpful to me. And then I discovered these books, these RCA receiving tube manuals. I had to look for a second. This is RC30, which is one of the later ones. These books were made over the years where the earlier ones would obviously have more info about the early tubes. Like I'm using the RC10 to find information about how to use this 27 and 47 in these, the 80 rectifier stuff that I'm using in this amplifier. And almost all of these manuals have like charts that show you, here's the operating points that you need to shoot for. And then they show you the curves. And a lot of times they'll have like the load curves already drawn out on the chart for you, or on the curve chart, so you can see exactly what's going on as you change the bias points. And all this stuff is super useful. So back to my 6SQ7 project, I wasn't getting the voltage swing that I needed to hit full power from the EL34. And I was thinking backwards from what's really going on. I thought I needed to lower the value of the plate load resistor to get more voltage on the plate of the tube, and that would give me more voltage to work with to get more swing. And that made it worse. And I sat back and I was like, going, what in the world? Why is it worse? That doesn't make any sense. And so then I really started looking at the schematic and the voltages and like what the plate load resistor's doing. And I realized I needed to raise the value of the plate load resistor so that I would have more voltage drop across it, and then that would give me the headroom that would allow more voltage swing when the grid swung. And I'm not going to get into all that today, but my point is that what made common sense to me was like the opposite of what actually was going on. And I had read several books, like Morgan Jones's books, which I'll link below too, and they're both very good reads. But again, from reading and stuff, I didn't really understand until I made a mistake and then had to figure out why my mistake was a mistake. And in doing so, then it was like the light bulb went off kind of moment. And that was the start, I feel, of me really starting to understand how at least single-ended amplifiers work in the relationship from all the parts. And again, having one of these receiving tube manuals is super helpful. It's got, like I said, the charts that show you where you need to go. And I think it would probably be helpful for anybody, if you're like me and you learn from doing, to start off with like the output section of my 6SQ7 amp and then pick some random tube that you want to use for a driver tube. I mean, it might be a triode strapped 6EJ7, might be 6SN7, it might be a 6SL7, and then you may learn that a 6SN7 just doesn't have enough drive. And no matter what you do, it won't drive the tube, and that you need a 6SL7. And you'll start understanding what MUs and all these other terms that are used with tubes, and I think it'll help you really get what's going on with this stuff. So I do want to say too, I think if you're going to go down that path, you really need an oscilloscope of some sort. Because without one, the voltmeter, you got to have one of those, but it doesn't really show you what's going on. And I think having the visual of being able to see the waveforms, with a signal generator and an oscilloscope, you can inject a waveform in it, then you can watch it go through the amp, and then when you're experimenting with different stuff, you can see how that waveform changes and what different parts and different values, how it shapes the waveform differently and all that kind of stuff. So having that visual thing with the hands-on, at least for me, is how I learn. And some of you might like breadboarding. I prefer to work inside of a chassis that's all put together where there's not a lot of live current everywhere. So you can pick your poison. Again, be super careful. These are lethal voltages. You want to understand all the hazards, watch some videos, read up on tube safety and high voltage safety before you start playing around with this stuff. But anyway, that's Money Monologue for today. Y'all go out there and experiment. Because I'm telling you that, at least for me, I know people learn different ways. For me, that was an awesome way for me to learn this stuff. Now it's time for the music of the week. Got some different stuff this week. First one is Nicolette Larson, and this one's just called Nicolette. And it's got one of her biggest hits, A Lot of Love, on side 1, track 1. It's probably why, a lot of these copies are out there. That was a super big hit. It's an okay song. It was never one of my favorites. I didn't even really know who she was until I picked this up in the $3 rack at the record store, and I fell in love with her music. Like I said, the song that she's well known for, I don't really even care for. It's the other music, especially on the flip side. There's I believe it's a cover of a Who song, Don't Do It. Man, it's a great song. I mean, it's got a great beat. It's fun. The whole album is just fun. And it's good background music, but it's also good for just seriously, sitting back and listening too closely. I mean, there's a lot going on. It's engineered super well. The mastering's good. This pressing's good. This is just a vintage from the day. I believe she was a big MTV star, and she died young. Don't know the whole history. I'll see if I can find a YouTube clip or two off this album so y'all can listen to it and see if you like it or not. I think it's a really good one, and it's worth hunting down a copy of this at a used record store. I know it hasn't been re-released, so you'll have to find an old copy either on eBay or a record store, but you should be able to pick one up for $3 to $5. They're not something that's super sought after or rare by any means. So that's the first one. The next one for this week is Rachel and Vilray, and this is a really fun album too. She's got an amazing voice, and I think she sounds better than Deanna Krall does. And she's got that smoky nightclub kind of voice that really fits kind of jazzy music that they're playing along with it. It's just really fun. Again, I'll try to find a YouTube clip so you can get a little taste of this. The CD is also good. So if you're looking for something on CD, it's good. This may be on Amazon Music. I don't know. The LP, obviously, sounds better than any of it. And I initially got the CD, and then later went back and bought the album, and should have just bought the album because it's super fun music. So it's kind of a different kind of jazz vocal things. It's got a real 50s kind of vibe to it, but it was recorded recently. So this is my second recommendation for the week. Also wanted to thank all of you that have subscribed to my channel. We're real close to 3K subs. We'll probably hit it in the next week or so. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate all y'all watching my videos. It's made my channel more popular. Thank you guys who have used my Amazon affiliate store. I'll put the link below. I've put some links in my store to a lot of audio related gear. But I now understand that if you click through my affiliate store before you shop for whatever you're buying on Amazon, trash bags, tennis shoes, tennis balls, doesn't matter. As long as you click through my store and you check out, I think it's within 15 or 20 minutes, that you're helping support my channel. If you use my affiliate store as your Amazon bookmark on your web browser, and anytime you shop on Amazon, you access Amazon through that link, then you're helping out Skunky Designs. The other fun thing you can do is go buy a t-shirt. I can promise you, you wear one of these things to an outing and people are going to ask you, what's Skunky Designs? Then you can tell them about tube amplifiers and your audio hobby. And so conversation starter might be a fun thing for you. I know whenever I'm wearing mine out, people ask me about it. And so anyway, hope you're enjoying my channel. Hopefully going to have this thing probably on a scope in a couple of weeks. I'm really feel like I'm got the stuff that I was really tentative about, like the holes punched on everything, and I've got the layout done. I've got some other cool ideas that are going to really add to the little vintage vibe of this thing, but we'll get this thing wrapped up. Obviously, I know from the poll I put out there, people are antsy for the KT88 monoblocks, that I can also drop KT120 tubes in. I'm probably going to be doing that as a fixed bias, so you can bias it for a whole slew of different output tubes, which will be really fun. The other one was the 2A3 amp. I've got all the iron here for that, and I've got some really nice 2A3 tubes, and I haven't decided how I'm going to drive it, but I think I'm going to do some kind of crazy driver tube, which, no spoilers, but just like usual, I'm going to be doing something different with that. So anyway, hope you're enjoying my content. If you are and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please click the little bell over here. That'll give you a notification when I get a new video up. Like the video. And we'll see you next week for the Monday Monologue.